Hello, my name is David Donoghue. I'm the Fire and Life Safety BDM for KD Electronics. Today I would like to show you how easy it is to add a Sygno-fi wireless device to our demo panel system here in our Dublin office. So we have a translator, we have a few devices on it as you can see, a few smoke heads, call point and a remote indicator. So the smoke head comes in a box, and on the side of it you'll have an area where you can add your loop address, your location and what translator or expander it's going to be associated to. So it is designed to be pre-programmed off-site before the installation, and it has the information for you to record everything. Not only that, it has the QR code on the side of the box, and when we open the box you also have a QR code on a sticker that can be added onto your translator manual, and also inside the device you have the same QR code. So it's 3 ways to add this QR code onto the Sygno software. So what we'll do is we will pop open the device, and what we're going to do is we're going to put this device into wake up mode. Wake up mode is a procedure where you can add a device onto the system off-site. You can put your batteries into the device, you can have everything ready, labelled, the whole lot done, and it doesn't take an ounce of power off that battery. You sit in the van or in the stores for 2 months until you do it. So very simple then is reading the side of the box where the location of the device is going, what device number it is, adding the device into the site, and then going to the translator and waking it up. So we're going to do that today with this simple detector. So what we need to do here is we need to add our batteries. Now what we do here is we're going to add the batteries there and thereabouts the same time. So one battery is a primary, second is redundancy. So if you do it in too much of a gap in between, programming doesn't really kick in too right. So yeah, I always light the batteries on the cradles and I add the batteries on, and you'll see the LEDs there. Once you get to red, I want you to switch the little dip switch from on to 1. And then you'll see 4 different colors of green, red, green, red, green, red. Once you see that, that is now in wake up mode. Very simple. So let's put our battery door back on. And we now need to add the device. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the device back in the box. And we're going to program this for the QR code to the side of the box. So back in the box. On the back of this device, you'll see your address tag. That can be broken out, slid into the side, and you can have your address number on it. So it's very clever the way it's manufactured. So we put that back in the box. We're into the Sygno software. And as you can see with the Sygno software, you have 4 icons on the left-hand side. The top one is a list of all your sites that you will have. The second one with the little X on it, or the editing, is you going into the system and adding and deleting devices. So on this little bar here, we call this the, I suppose, radio warehouse. This is where you can add a device and it sits in an area not associated with any expander or translator. So down, and then on the next one you'll have a little clock. That is a live status we'll go to later on when we add the device. And then the next one is settings to do with the Sygno software. So what you can do is we have a lead going into our translator at the moment, albeit a short lead, but you can actually have a Bluetooth dongle, and the Bluetooth dongle then can be associated with the translator, and you can then have a wireless link. So therefore we don't have this door open on the translator, we don't have a tamper or an open tamper and a fault on the panel. You're going straight into the wireless Sygno-fi network. So down the bottom then we're going to look for our QR code. So our QR code is here, so I'm going to click on that. Now it's going to ask, do you want your webcam or do you want your fancy QR code reader? So we're going to go with good old-fashioned webcam. And backlight compensation can be a bit of a problem, but it is now adding the device. We can close that down And now the device, as you can see, is in our little warehouse. It is not associated with any expander or translator until you move that into the dedicated field. So you could have multiple tabs here. This could be ground floor where the translator is located. You could have the first floor where the expander is, second floor, etc., etc. So you can move it. The new firmware or Sygnex update coming very soon will allow you to add this device a lot quicker in relation to the multiple floors that you have. So let's get this detector. Excuse my mouse now. We'll see if it gets through. And we'll move it over, and it is now on the drawing of the translator. So all these, as you can see with the green squares, are all now connected onto the translator. So we have the device into the floor with the translator. So what we want to do is we want to add this device to the translator. So the chain is a link, and we want to link the device to the translator. Now, we have a link to the translator. The translator now is showing a fault because it sees a device on the translator, but it's not programmed. It hasn't been told what this device is. So if we go to this device here, we can see what it is. So it's a smoke detector. It's taken up the loop address 8. It has a unique ID. Also, the optical sensitivity is medium. You can change that. You can change sensitivity to low or high depending on the application. So we go back to the translator. We will press our build wizard icon, which is effectively like a little magic wand. We connect on this. So it will automatically find out what the next step is. You don't need to select. It will select what it needs to do. So it's looking for network device update. So now we are programming the device onto the translator. And this can take a bit of time because on a bigger system, if you have a good few devices on the system, it'll take a while to get around. So network devices program complete, finish. Okay, so now it's saying, oh, I have something. So it's gone back to green. We're going to go back into it again. And now it's changed, as you can see. It says field devices wake up link. So let's wake up this device. So have we set it up in wake up mode? Well, you did see that at the start, so we've done that. So yes, press next. And now it's linking this smoke detector to the translator. So what it does is it goes through all the devices. So there's 8 devices now on it. We press finish. And now you have the device connected onto the translator. As simple as that. Now, if we go to our live status, everything's grayed out at the moment because we're not actually in a live status. There is a little button here, play. So we'll start here. What this does now is this is going around to each device and we're getting an exact live status of this radio network. Okay, so as it goes and circulates, you will see the red will turn to green and it will finish. Now, what it does here is green is good, all green squares. If you can see here as well, we have in these little legends here, we can scroll down, in the green boxes there's numbers. That is the strength and radio signal of these devices. Now, they're on the demo board, so you know it would have to be the best. So you can see where if there is an issue with a device and a radio signal, the line may be red, or your numbers could be in an amber color and down to 1 or 2. At that moment in time, then you need to figure out, do you take your device, go back into your settings, remove the device from the translator and maybe add it to another expander. So the yellow here is signifying a fault. So we'll click on this and we'll click here, and it is the tamper. Of course it's a tamper because the lid is open on the translator. And as I said earlier on, with your Bluetooth connection, you would not have any faults whatsoever. So we have not only an easy way of adding devices to the radio network, but we also have a live status of the devices. Now, what we can do is we can On live, we've obviously gone in and got our information and we see our signal strength and what has been programmed, but we actually can activate the device from our Sygno software. So if we look up at the Sygno-fi remote indicator, and if I press primary on, from my laptop, I have switched that on. So if I want to turn it off, I physically reset it and it should turn off. So we can do this with detectors, sounders. So if in any way, shape, or whatever the situation is that you've lost a device or you can't find it, you can actually go into each device and control the device. So this is a really good way of activating an individual sounder. I'm not going to for video purposes, and the microphone, I think the sounder will be too loud, but you can definitely activate the LEDs in the smoke test. So if we enter the test mode, for example, you can see here on one of the devices, the LEDs flashing. So we can literally connect into every device on the Sygno-fi system. Now, last but not least is the report. So if we press this button here, we can generate a report. We can have all our event logs, etc. So we'll call this test. And we press next, and next again, and next again. You want to add notes onto it. But now we can generate a report on this system that'll show all the diagnostics of the system in relation to radio strength, etc. And we'll show that now in our next slide. So we've exported the reports from the Sygno software. It turns into a PDF document, saved on the desktop. Very, very simple here. So what it does is it takes your network, your locations, your items. And again, as I said, if this was multiple with expanders, you'd have different pages, etc. Now, what else do we have? Well, we have the system. We have description of the equipment that is installed, the radio address, and the loop address on the panel, the field channels. Remember, we have multiple field channels within our network, so there'll be no crosstalks within the system. The firmware version of the device, the production, and then any issues at the time. So we had obviously tampers when we were testing it, and you can see here what the sensitivity is for optical. There's different items here on the report. Also, you have your event log, so you can see here lots of tampers from opening devices and test modes. But for example, when I activated the lights on the smoke detector, there it is, test mode activated. When I activated my remote indicator, it shows that I have done this. So it is great transparency in relation to what is done on the system. This is a network path. Obviously, there's only one network path there's only a translator on the system, but you could see here where you would have a translator talking to multiple expanders. So you have your full network structure on this report. So this is ideal for after PPM, routine maintenance services, or after your installation commissioning. So this is another report that you could give to your client after the installation is installed and say, everything is on this document. So very much like a handover document as such. So great thing about Sygno-fi, how easy it is to add devices, off-site programming to make your on-site installation less disruption for your customer, that you're not on site too often, you're just adding your devices and waking them up. And then for that customer then to know exactly where his devices are talking to, the radio signal, the device channels, everything is on this report. So it is very good. It also means that if there's any environmental issues going forward, somebody builds 4 or 5 walls or whatever the case being, or there's an environmental issue with radio, and it can happen, you can use this report as your go-to in relation to what your radio signals were at the start of the commissioning. So if you install a fire system and all your radio signals are quite strong and your field channels are right, and you come back 6 months later and the building is changed considerably, then your radio signal will have changed in your next report. So you can use that as your draw the line in relation to your installations. So a lot of features in Sygno-fi to help the installer, a lot of features to make everything transparent with the end user. As you can see, how easy it was to add this smoke detector onto this system.